Hello and welcome to SSUC, Spiritual Seekers United in Community, and our live stream for Sunday, May the 30th, 2021. We welcome those of you joining us in the Edmonton area and wishing we could be in person. We welcome those of you joining us from Saskatoon or BC or Ontario, the United States, anywhere in the world. Welcome. We set a welcoming table, and you're invited wherever you are and whoever you are, the entire human family, welcome and safe among us. We gather on Treaty 6 land, and we recognize that wherever you happen to be today, we acknowledge the difficult truth of the relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous. We are confronted, all of us, with a painful, violent, and harsh history, and our eyes must be constantly opened to that truth, aware that we've done harm and harm continues. Our land recognition this morning happens in awareness, it happens in grief, and with continued dedication to the difficult work of reconciliation in all its forms. With gratitude, all of us, on whatever land we happen to be dwelling, share a moment of grief and gratitude together this morning. I'm joined today by my teammate Nancy, our many talented musicians, our tech team, to bring you the next installment of our ongoing series of Dinner Table Wisdom. As we've set a table that honors Asian Heritage Month, we invite you into this short retrospective and celebration of Asian heritage, history, and contributions within the United Church of Canada.
People of Asian heritage have been part of the United Church of Canada for over 130 years in congregations that stretch across the county. It is a history of accomplishment and grace in the face of painful struggle. The first Asian heritage congregational members came from the Chinese, Korean, and Japanese communities. Their churches flourished as sanctuaries from the racism outside and allowed them to keep their culture and language alive. But in the early 1940s, even being part of the United Church was no protection against laws which stripped Japanese Canadians of their property, businesses, and even their churches.
My parents were 10 and 11 years old when they were interned in the Second World War, and they were placed in this place where there was no toilet facility. It was cold, and they lost a lot of their own belongings, their own places of comfort. They were only able to bring what they could carry in 2 suitcases, so their prized possessions, for most of them, weren't with them. They thought they were going to be away for just a little bit, and it turned out a really long time, and they never saw those possessions again unless they had people who could save it for them. But for the most part, it was sold. All their things were sold. And then after the war, they weren't able to move back again, so they had to move to who knows where.
Over 60 years later, the United Church acknowledged the injustice of its treatment of Japanese Canadian church members. The 40th General Council in Kelowna, British Columbia, heard firsthand from some of the internment survivors, but the church words were too late for many of the former detainees. As the 20th century rolled on, new waves of immigrants from China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and the Philippines began to arrive, swelling the older congregation and forming new ones. For many new Canadian, churches became extended family in a new country. In the 1980s, people fleeing the civil war in Sri Lanka arrived in Canada. Tamil Christians in Toronto started meeting over 30 years ago, but only recently has the group been officially recognized as a United Church congregation.
There are other denominations within the Tamil congregation, so we are very tolerant Christians. So when we came to Canada, again, we had the Methodist background. The transition was very easy, so that's one of the things even we enjoy today. And because we experience all the struggles in terms of the war, in terms of the discrimination because of race, religion, and so on, so forth. We actually, when we came to Canada, there was always a compassion to help people in that need. So we were practically born with a social justice component within us. So that also was a good fitting, because that is one of the foundation of the United Church of Canada. So I think the fit is wonderful.
During the month of May, we remember and are thankful for the many contributions made by people of Asian heritage to the United Church, for the gifts of leadership, worship, membership, and wisdom.
And so together with you at home, if you have a candle to light, we in this room will light a candle that reminds us of our connection with each other, our connection with the broader United Church, our connection with humanity, with people, creatures, and living beings across this planet. And so we light a candle now, our symbol of light, of community, of connection.
Together with each other, wherever we are, we take this moment to strengthen our intentions, to live in this day in ways that are healing and hopeful. We offer these words with one another. They are the words of Greta Vosper in her publication, Another Breath. Mystery and delight await us under cover of day's distractions and night's repose. They lie dormant, bursting with suppressed promise and beating with a human heart. And so we must learn, must rein our minds and bodies to listen for stillness amidst clamor, to hear beyond the meaning of a word, to find vast spaces of beauty and hope in the midst of the day's ordinary things. Into these too few minutes together, we pray that we might press our passion for wonder against the realities of our days, and so urge into awareness the timeless joy of our lives. This we pray as those seeking wonder, yet dancing within it.
Today's story, in A Time for All Ages, is a story about choice. We sometimes forget that we always have a choice in how we respond to our days. Sometimes, if we're grumpy, we blame the weather. Sometimes, if we're mad, we blame everyone else. Sometimes, if we're sad, it's because life is too hard. In all circumstances, this book reminds us that we have a choice of how to respond to everything in our lives, even the bad stuff. So here today is the story called Happy Right Now by Julie Berry, illustrated by Holly Hatam. I'll be happy when I get a puppy, a unicorn, an ice cream sundae, and a castle with a friendly dragon. Or I can be happy right now.
I'll be happy when the clock clicks the last second of school day on the last Friday before vacation. Or I can be happy right now.
I'll be happy when everyone adores me for being brilliant, brave, beautiful, popular, and amazing. Or I can like me right now and be happy just as I am.
I'll be happy when the worry monkey gets off my back. My chores are done and nobody's grumpy. Or I can feed the worry monkey a banana and party with him on a jungle gym. We'll both be happy right now. Why not?
I'll be happy when the rainstorm slows, the icicles melt, the clouds leave town, and the sun says, "Come play." Or I can be happy any day, in mittens, in boots, or in soaking wet puddles. Wetter is better anyway.
I'll be happy when this sneezing stops. No more sniffles and drips, no coughs, no ick, and I feel better. Or I can be cozy right now and snuggle down for a sleepy snooze. And if it's up to me to choose, why lose time being gray, being blue? All I need to do is be happy right now, whatever the day, whatever the weather.
But what about when happy right now is a no can do? When the troubles and sadness are much too much, and feeling my feelings is all I can do? Like a long goodbye, or a puffy-eyed cry, or slow sorrows with no good answer to why. Well, that's okay too.
I can breathe right now. In is 1. Out is 2. Breathe again. Fill my belly. Let it flow out slowly. Feel my body relax. Let my bones turn to jelly.
Remember a now that was happy. Breathe. Borrow an old smile from a brighter day. Breathe. Know that happy will find me again soon. Give a hug and get one. Help somebody. Learn something new. Draw a picture. Bake a cake. Talk it out. Let it go. Take a nap. Take two.
I'll be happy when I'm hopeful, cheerful, helpful, thankful, reaching for happy until I can grab it. No dragons required. But I would like a rabbit. These words are adapted from Kenneth Willer's contemporary parable, The Beautiful and Mystical River. Once upon a time, there was a traveler who went on a journey in search of a beautiful and mystical river. When he found the river, he sat down next to it. He drank deeply of it. He bathed in it. He fished from it. He played in it. The traveler was filled with joy at just being near the river. He stayed many days and many nights listening to its mystical teachings before he headed home. Upon his return, his family, friends, and neighbors all noticed the joy this man radiated. They asked him what happened to him at the river. They asked him many questions about the river. They wanted to know the teachings he had learned there. He told them some stories, even showed them a picture. With so much interest, the explorer finally told them, "You must go for yourselves and experience the river. You must see, listen, touch, taste, and smell the river yourselves. I could never fully describe or hope to explain the beauty and mystery I experienced there. I urge you, go. Experience your own beautiful and mystical river." Instead, they found the explorer's picture of the river and put it in a special frame and hung the picture where all could see it and gaze at it. Seeing what happened, the explorer was saddened. He wished he had never taken a picture of that beautiful and mystical river. In these words, may we too find wisdom for our living.
Ever since our kids were in elementary school, we've had a family tradition. On the last day of school, every year, we would go out for a special dinner and order dessert first. It was a treat that the kids looked forward to every year, choosing the restaurant, and of course, the excitement of being able to see the look on the wait staff's face when we started with dessert orders. It was exciting to be able to do something to flaunt the rules, to buck the tradition, and just have some sheer fun on that one day a year. So it's the luck of the draw that I get to speak about the dessert course. I didn't plan it that way, but I am quite fortunate since I have what I would call an extremely large sweet tooth. I was raised with the wisdom that there's always room for dessert. In fact, you should save room for dessert. For me, this last course of the meal exhibits pure joy. Who cares if you need to loosen the belt or undo a button, or as it happens in my house quite regularly, leave the table, do something else, come back for dessert? From cake to pie to fruit to ice cream, there's no course more playful. There's no course that invites a smile quite like dessert. In the world's religions and spiritualities, sweets have played a universal role in celebrations. To name just a very, very few, in Mesopotamia, records show that honey and dates and ambrosia were the sweet food of the gods. Honey and dates and fruit, dried fruit and fresh, were all early sweet celebration foods. In Buddhism, sweetness often represented fertility and goodness, which can be seen in the ritual and practice of pouring sweet water on Buddha. The Chinese domestic god Zhao Shen is offered sweet cakes to ensure sweetness in the home. Islamic religious fasts are broken with sweetened breads and cookies. And in the Christian tradition, there are traditions around sweet breads and candy at Easter and Christmas. Of course, not every day is a day for celebrating, but neither is every day a day just about survival. It's neither healthy to make every meal a meal of sweets, nor to make every day about just what is absolutely necessary for our bodies and no more. It seems wise not to look at everything in our human experience in terms of efficiency and value and speed, because there has to be time for us to have the ability to enjoy the most simple and ordinary aspects of life, even and especially the ones that are not strictly useful, but just delightful. Ingrid Fettel-Lee, in her book entitled Joyful, writes the following: "Joy is part of our motivational system. It taps into and rewards us for things that are good for our survival. Round things, safe things, like bubbles, like balls. Researchers find that angular shapes create activity in the amygdala, which are associated with, among other things, fear and anxiety. But round shapes don't do that. Unconsciously, we're pulled more toward round, curvy things because they make us feel certain ways." And she says that we're not also just pulled towards single items, but multiples, many confetti, multiple balloons, flowers in a bunch. We're drawn to abundance. We're not so fond of scarcity. That goes back to our human roots. But things that are plentiful make us feel joy. We're attracted to that which won't run out. The abundant, the lush. We are right there in our physiology, attracted to the things that are light and airy, that give the impression of height or loftiness, perhaps. All of it connected to our fundamental instinct of survival. The drive toward joy is the drive toward life. There might be some universal aspect to the things that can provide joyful experiences, but we each find our own joys, don't we? If I take a picture of something joyful to me, and you do the same, and we share, we exchange pictures, we try to describe the details of the joy to each other. And rightly so, we find it difficult. It might be a beautiful picture, and we can all appreciate that. But try to express and explain how it makes you feel, why it is a joyful picture to you, and that we struggle with. We can't recreate the joy we feel in a certain moment, and so we clumsily try to find words. And even sometimes have to end up saying those dreaded words, "Well, I guess you had to be there." I can't give you the feeling I felt, just as I can't inherit your joy. Your joy is your joy. And although it might be contagious, it is difficult to describe and to give. Thich Nhat Hanh says these words: "Sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy." You can't inherit the experiences of a beautiful and mystical river that I visit, nor the other way round. We have to claim our joy, seek it out, relish it as we would a piece of delicious chocolate cake or a fresh, warm slice of pie. Listen to one of the parables that Jesus told his friends. The spiritual life is like a treasure hidden in a field for years, then accidentally found. The finder is ecstatic. What a find! Then with joy sells everything in order to raise money and buy that field. This particular chapter in the book of Matthew is a collection of many of the parables, the small symbolic stories that Jesus told to teach about the value and the quest for meaning, the search for spiritual values. In this story, we hear the spiritual life is like a treasure in a field. Once a person experiences the joy of finding such an unexpected treasure, we realize that that joy is priceless. Not the treasure necessarily, but the joy. We'd sell all we have to ensure that that can be ours whenever we need it and want it. And so what is that treasure? I think that's one of the brilliant purposes of this little story. To have us ask, what is the treasure that if we stumbled upon it, if we cultivated it, would be so precious, would bring us such joy that we couldn't bear live without it? Those people, those relationships, those principles, those ideals, whatever it is for each of us, it's the joy they create that inspires us to do all we can to ensure those treasures remain. that we'll do all that we can to buy the whole field, to make sure that whatever we do, we don't undermine those things that are at the center of our lives. That we do anything to protect them, to live them, to share them. That kind of joy isn't really the common understanding of joy. It's a profound gladness that supports one's spirit, whether one is undergoing conventionally good times or bad. Joy doesn't insulate us from the difficulties in our lives, doesn't protect us from the realities of our world. Joy and finding it doesn't mean we ignore the imperfections in our world, the challenges, darknesses, and injustices of the world around us. But like our wise children's story, we recognize that in the face of even difficult and troubled times and days, there is a choice to be made. Finding joy wherever we are is one of the ways we awaken ourselves to a quiet but necessary reality, that there is beauty and joy within this world awaiting to be found. In a time when we're talking about reopening strategies and coming out of this pandemic in certain ways, many of us have talked about what has grown in us over the last 14, 15, 16 months. A certain anxiety, an unsure sensibility about how comfortable we will feel when we get to go out in the world as we did. Do I want to? How will it change? And we're very because of the lives we've been leading during this pandemic, we're really apt to think that the only thing out in the world is risk and danger. But we need moments to remind ourselves that there are lots of things hiding in the world, joyous things awaiting to be found. When we've needed ways of strengthening and emboldening ourselves during a time when it's been particularly hard to experience new and joyful activities and experiences, we need to remind ourselves to breathe and to choose. When that tantalizing dessert is placed in front of people at your table, can you picture the faces of those at your table? Especially if it's a surprise. Can you think of the smiles that emerge on the faces if you put down some extravagant, lovely, wonderful-looking sweet? Think of the joy that can be felt when an amazing baked confection is placed in front of you, or whatever it is you happen to like. That joy that bubbles up in us. That feeling. Can we approach life with the same zest? Can we devour with joy the delights of each day? Can we, like a toddler on their birthday, lick the plate clean and without missing a beat, quickly ask for more? Engaging with the kind of joy that isn't fleeting, that isn't just feel good because this moment is good, that kind of joy that is present within us whether we're having a good day or bad, and especially in our most challenging times, that is a spiritual practice. And it's a practice for us to exercise every day, so we can take steps that put us in a place to encounter that kind of joy. Steps like taking pleasure in the small things. They don't have to be huge, dramatic acts of wonder to elicit our joy. But we can take pleasure in those everyday small things we see and experience. Celebrating the small victories in our days, rejoicing in the success of taking the next attainable step. Maybe we're not accomplished our goal, but have we taken one more step closer? What are the small victories in our days? And are we setting our daily goals? The things we want to accomplish in a day, are we setting them realistically enough that we have something to rejoice and celebrate at the end of the day? Making sure the people we're in touch with are the people who encourage us, who are positive, and who care. A practice of cultivating those people in our lives who make it easy to see joy. Doing at least one thing every day that helps another person, another creature. Leaving time for play, for pleasure, for nature, for those things that remind us of uncomplicated fun. I'll leave you with this old story. A wise teacher once held up a flower and asked her students to say something about it. One of them gave a lecture, another wrote a poem, yet another told a story, each one trying to outdo the other in depth and wisdom. And the teacher stood, said nothing, and simply smiled. Only she had seen the flower. Tapping into joy is step one. To see the beauty of what's right in front of us, to revel in the simple and delightful things of life. Dessert may not be for everybody, although I don't understand those people. So dessert might not be for everybody, but I'll tell you what, joy is. And it's ours to taste. Every day. And in so many ways. From us here, our musicians, our singers, Nancy and I, our tech team, we wish you joy in this day. We wish you a second piece of cake. We wish you enjoyment of that hidden chocolate bar you've got somewhere in your kitchen. Take joy in the small things. And in that, let your life speak. Let your joy be contagious, and let your light shine. As we go into this day and into this week, we celebrate community, we celebrate our connection. And as it changes now and goes into the light of this day and this week, may our joy disperse as well. Enjoy dessert, stay safe, and see you soon.